And Bobby gave the hot takes a couple of weeks ago that the Cowboys, look for them to win 9 games. They're going to go on a run. Quinnen Williams is going to dominate, and everyone else is going to feast. And so far, 1 for 1. He had 1 sack in New York.
Yeah. He's already surpassed his total here. In fact, yesterday, that was the most quarterback hits of his career. First game, most quarterback hits of his career. Because he had 5.
Of his career?
Yep.
Yeah, every time he was like going over the side of that, I'm like, no, Quinnen, come back, please, please. Britt Brown, it gave me a little relief when he was kind of talking to him because I think maybe it was some fatigue.
I thought it was like a side stitch or something like that. Like, 'cause they started laughing about it. I was like, oh, there we go.
Okay, but he's all right. He's fine. 1.5 sacks, 7 total pressures, 21.4% pass rush win rate, according to PFF, and everyone else benefited.
Double teamed on half of his snaps, too. So he was getting a ton of double teams. Osa had double teams on half his snaps, and he also still had 6 pressures. And you saw that giddy look on Jerry's face after Quinnen got the solo sack, where he's just like,
"Yep,
yeah, you guys like this?"
Yep. It's Star Up, Star Down, brought to you by Wild Fork Foods and Johnson Fitness and Wellness. So obviously a star up to the new addition, Quinnen Williams, afterwards on his performance.
It's unbelievable, man. It stems back to everybody doing their job the best of their ability for this defense to win, and also everybody doing their job the best of their ability to help this team win football games. And that's all you can ask for, man. Everybody's not perfect, but if we can continue to stack the good things and delete the bad things, I think we can transcend to be a great defense. So.
No.
You don't agree?
No, go look.
Okay, I don't have to go look. I can hear.
The way he said
when he said the Ketty,
he says Ketty.
When he said Ketty Clark, he sounded
just
so
like
Nick
him.
Harris pointed that. That's what we're talking about during that clip, was how Quinnen sounds, and they're from apparently like the same area of Alabama.
Unbelievable, man. It stems back to everybody doing their job the best of their ability for this defense to win, and also everybody doing their job the best of their ability to help this team win football games. And that's all you can ask for, man.
All right, I didn't hear him say Kenny Clark.
No, not there. We're talking about whenever he says Kenny Clark. Just think if God want us to win the world championship. That's the tone of his voice.
Brian Schottenheimer on the new big fella up front.
He's such a great guy, man. I think I shared with you guys on the conference call the other day, for him and Logan both to come into a situation like this, where they're just trying to get to know everybody, and then, of course, tragedy hits. His demeanor never changed. His professionalism never changed. He's a man of faith, a man of, high values, and just an incredible teammate. And the guys took to him. Not surprised, both those guys. They took to both he and Logan. And, Q's really good. He's really a good football player. We should keep him.
Quinnen had the sack to make it 3rd and 19. He forced Geno Smith into Houston before the half, with Houston coming up with a 3rd down sack. The Cowboys had, I think Jason Kelsey said this at halftime, they had 13 pressures in the half, their highest for any half this year, 3 sacks as well. Quinnen Williams had been doubled early on 4 of the 13 pass rush snaps and still came up with 5 pressures and a sack and a half. It was early second quarter. And again, that 1 sack in 8 games in New York already topped.
And you mentioned James Houston there benefiting from the cleanup. We heard from Shotty there were going to be personnel changes and they were going to change different things. That's one of them. That's clear. James Houston is definitely going to get more play time now that they're out of this, because this was, you remember, we're all complaining, like, why is he getting 12 snaps a game? This was the most snaps he had played total, 28, and it was by far the most he had played percentage-wise. He played half the snaps. He was out there in very obvious situations where they could be running the ball, so that had to be one of the things that they looked at during the bye and identified, like, no, he's just better right now than a lot of our edge rushers.
Star up for the most electrifying wide receiver this franchise has ever had. And he is the true number 1 wide receiver on this football team. I am drawing a line in the sand. Yes, you are either on my side or you are not. Okay, there is no number 2. You cannot love them both. You have to pick one. One of them has to be your favorite. And I have decided my favorite. What is he, number 3? George Pickens. I don't know numbers. I don't know people. I don't know. Line in the sand.
You don't know the numbers on the cut sheet either for no highlight.
I gotta get I gotta get my sounds in. I gotta get my cut in.
I'm going to pull the audio from Friday when I tried to have you spit this take out for Nick Harris. that Pickens was the number one receiver, and you totally backed off of it.
Yeah, I don't know. Nick is. I don't know Nick. I don't know Nick like that. I don't know Nick like that.
Sean, you would have been you would have been on his ass because you would have been like, "No, what are you backing it?" Because he was like, "Well, I didn't really say that Pickens was better than Lamb or that I wanted him over Lamb." It's like, yes, you have
He
for
does
weeks.
things. He does things.
He's incredible.
Jerry, he's probably going to say it today at 8:30. He said it was poetry. It was ballet. It was like watching a ballerina out there with the long, smooth strides. He's a guy that when you watch him run, I don't think he's going to make people miss. But my God, he did last night. 9 for 144. What was the yak? 16 a catch. He was targeted 11 times. He had the touchdown. That was a stamped performance from GP.
It's Terrell Owens. That's who it looked like. That's the way Terrell Owens used to get big catches. You would see him take a slant and just start navigating the field, and you're like, how the hell is nobody catching him? Or you'd see like the touchdown that Pickens had when that does not look like a move that should have led to him scoring. And I don't think it was just teams giving up on him. It's just he's so smooth, and that's the way T.O. used to be. T.O. would just kind of move through traffic, and there's a lot of T.O. comparisons I think for George Pickens. But yesterday watching, that's what I was when he made that catch, that 20-yarder where he ran across the. I was going that reminds me of Terrell Owens.
That was 21 yards through 4 Raiders on third down in the third quarter. He had the 37-yarder for the touchdown and then the penalty. Why is that a penalty, by the way? People said Joe Buck was having nightmares of Randy Moss on the goalpost. Why is that a penalty? You can do everything else in terms of celebrations. You can't do anything with the goalpost now? As he tried to go down the fire pole?
I guess not. I mean, they flagged him instantly, and he got 2 of them. So there were 2 referees there that were like, no, we all know the goalpost is off limits. You mentioned
also the DPI. He basically was playing defense on a possible interception.
Yeah. And the great catch that wasn't a catch in the end zone where he couldn't get his feet out.
Yep. He's a polarizing player because he never shuts up.
No,
and if you're facing him, you are going to hate his guts. And maybe along the way throughout a season, you may hate his guts if he ends up costing you with some 15-yarders and moving you backwards. But even after the one-hander, he got up immediately, like barely. That's close.
Barely. So you mentioned it's easy to see why he's hated. That's why Jordan Lewis hated him. Because remember when they traded for Pickens, Jordan Lewis even tweeted, he's like, looks like I got out of Dallas just in time. Like he couldn't stand him.
You have to be ill. You have to be physically ill and sick if you are the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Oh yeah, this is. I mean, nobody's complaining about giving up a 3rd-round pick anymore. There are people who are like
trade of the year.
Until Quinnen. Until Quinnen, yeah, you're just cleaned up right now. GM of the year maybe.
And Dak Prescott is absolutely.
Could you imagine winning GM of the year when you miss the playoffs?
They're not. They're winning out, man.
There you go.
And Dak is absolutely in love.
He's a one-of-a-kind guy. Special individual, elite, has a great feel for the game, loves the game, plays the game like a kid. I mean, you when you watch him play, I'm sure, right, the energy, the celebrations, like that's contagious, and luckily we got a kicker who can make it. I know Shotty's probably not happy about it, but when you got a kicker that can bail you out, it's one thing, but the discipline, right, there is a part of that we've all got to tighten up, and GP knows that. Obviously, he responded to it, right, responded to the discipline by the way that he came out and the intensity he played with and the effort he had. But he's a special individual, and like you said, there is a balance to it, though.
Star up.
Yeah, no doubt about it. No doubt about it. I think they open up things for each other. You know what I mean? You get both of those guys and they're out wide. What coverage are you going to play? And when you're single high, you got to lean one way or another. You got to pick a receiver to help. So that's why I say they're complementary to one another.
Star Up, Star Down, brought to you by Wild Fork Foods and Johnson Fitness and Wellness.
I'm going to go with another defensive player for Star Up, Star Down. They're going to get their shine today, the defense. And this is a guy who continues to build his resume and continues to grow as a player. Donovan Ezeraku had another insane game.
Okay, first down and about 12. And Smith hands it to Jenny in the end zone, and Ezeraku might have him in the end zone. Ezeraku got through, and it's a safety. Ezeraku's penetration stopped Genty in the end zone, and Genty puts both hands on his head and says, "What have I done?"
What? He is Donovan Ezeraku is legitimately one of the best run defending edge rushers in the NFL right now.
Wow.
Like the pass rush stuff is getting closer. He hasn't finished plays yet. But you're talking about a guy who he gets in the backfield and he blows plays up. And if he doesn't end the play there, he disrupts it enough to where there's a problem. He was on the field for 8 run snaps yesterday. He got the run tackle on 5 of the 8. And on 3 of those, they were run stuffs, which is 0 gain or negative yardage. He was absolutely fantastic, and he's doing more and more of that in the run game. That's the kind of thing that when you've got Clowney already, who's really good at that, you see what Ezeraku's doing, you now put Quinnen Williams in there, they're building a case to say you cannot run the ball on us nearly as easily anymore.
And Pete Carroll is going to catch probably a lot of heat for that today. And I know Troy Aikman was basically beside himself when Chip Kelly. Remember, Brian Schottenheimer, I'll never forget this, at the Combine in Indianapolis, set the record straight and told us, no, me being R2-P2, an old conservative Shotty, that was kind of Pete Carroll. I wanted to throw the ball. Pete wants to run the ball. And then yesterday, they come out with that run-pass distribution, 21-4. 21-4, their fewest rush attempts in 17 years. Geno.
And one of those was Geno.
Yeah, and Geno had 32 dropbacks. Genty had 2 rushes. Raheem Mostert had 1. They're like, no, we're not going to run. We're going to come out and tear up the secondary. I can't really blame anyone for whatever type of strategy they have against the Cowboys defense.
No, but the problem is that you didn't know what this front was going to be with the additions of Williams and Overshown coming back and Logan coming here. You don't know what.
Yeah.
So that's.
But I know the secondary's still the same.
Trash, right?
Right.
You knew what it was.
And this is something we can get into in more detail later, probably. But that was the biggest reason why the pass defense is going to get better. The pass defense personnel can be the same and can be really poor, and all that can be true. If you are good enough on run defense or bad enough in pass defense and solid enough in run defense that teams can't just pick a poison and they have to say, okay, well, we've got to exploit the pass then. Now you get predictability. Now you get pass rushers who can pin their ears back. Now you get corners and safeties who are in predictable situations and know, okay, I know what I have to expect here because of the way things are. So you're naturally going to be in a better position and you're going to create more turnovers just because of the ability to be disruptive.
Can we talk real quick about Tyler Guyton before anything else?
Are we talking about the acting?
Okay.
Because I'm trying to decide between him and Josh Allen this weekend, which one was the best. And I think it was his.
Let's get to that then.
And hold on, wasn't it Trey McBride? Didn't Trey McBride do the same thing too on Sunday? Yes.
Yeah, well, you know what?
Play
as well as Josh Allen and Trey McBride, and you can do whatever the hell you want out there.
Okay, interesting.
So I want to talk about...
You don't think he played well?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying
be that good.
Yeah,
gotcha. Okay, gotcha.
No.
Brada said something last night in the post-game show, real quick, Kevin, that I wanted to accentuate.
Telling people to shut up.
He said, "Oh man, that was awesome. I loved it." But he said Tyler Guyton might be that guy where he looks like crap on 2 plays, but he's pretty good the rest of the time. Where there's some plays where it looks like I'm blocking out there, and I was like, that's brought us. I like the humility, but and sometimes he does have bad plays. Sometimes he has really good plays too.
The issue with Tyler Guyton yesterday on that one play, because some people were joking, very funny, by the way, is he going to go on IR after that fight? And here's the issue. It was the reaction time. So at my house, and yes, this is my parenting method, Noah, who's now 3, knows when I say I'm going to boot him, he runs up toward me. I put my foot up like I'm kicking him in the face and slap my leg like I've made contact, and then he falls down. But he's 3 and doesn't totally understand physics or sometimes how his body works, and he'll fall forward or he'll just stand there and then fall over. That's what Tyler Guyton did yesterday because the contact was real. And had he fallen down immediately, I think it would have been fine. But it was Not only did he not fall down immediately, then he made extra like the fall back, like he had just gotten hit with a 2x4 or something. And so it was the delayed reaction that made it look really stupid, even though the contact was very real. And if he'd have fallen straight away, you'd be like, oh, Troy would have been like, you just can't have that. That's a penalty all day.
But it was in slow-mo is what you've seen that
in regular mo.
What?
I noticed it in regular mo that he fell too late. And that's what I thought. I was like, you got to fall sooner, buddy, or don't fall at all.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like in a wrestling match, if something doesn't make contact, you need to decide, are you not going to fall or you're going to fall straight away? You can't stand there like Tyler Guy and then go, whoa!
Did the penalty get called?
Yes, did.
It got tacked on, so it worked.
Hold on, though.
It worked.
Were you nervous that this is going to be a hockey-style embellishment penalty for when he fell down?
Wasn't there something else that went on down the field,
that
too?
That is true.
So what I was nervous about was because he did have his hands on the player first. And he didn't throw a punch, but he punched through, if you will. He had him by the shoulder and was like, ah! And so he did that. And so I was afraid that it was going to be what was the penalty we saw earlier this year where there were 3 penalties and 1 penalty and they said all of them are gone.
Set.
We were like, what? That doesn't make any sense. There's 60 yards in penalties and 15 here. And so I was afraid that was going to happen, but it ended up happening was the Cowboys got a benefit out of it. I think right after that they had a false start. So then there was like, okay, what are we even doing here? But I'm okay with the acting, Kevin. Take the fall, act hurt, is what Gordon Bombay taught me in the Mighty Ducks. And
you did not understand the lesson of that movie at all.
I don't think there's embellishment in NFL. I think they're just like, come on. But they got the call, and they went on about their business. And, again, the offense was in cruising last night. They were pretty good.
And I did, since we spent the entire first segment pretty much talking about the defense, I wanted to talk about the offense here.
Okay, Ric Flair is what everybody's comparing that to.
Oh, I could see that. Just make sure you... Never mind. I am going to save myself a hassle today.
You're a typically unbiased person when it comes to these things. With Ric Flair, is he known for those...
Yeah, just overdoing it. The delayed sells, absolutely. He'll fall the wrong way.
Money.
Yeah, and it's just
insulting people.
This is what I was trying to stay away from, Kevin.
I'm sorry.
I was just trying to get the analysis on the fall.
Right. I'm sorry.
Gosh.
Hold on. Somebody said I'm being a fun sponge? Oh.
And somebody else quoted Regular Mo, and they think it's hilarious, and I love it too.
So I think we need to talk about the offense and how impressive they looked because we were really concerned the last couple of weeks. And here's the thing. The Raiders aren't drizzling S on defense. They are on offense, and that's what you have to factor into all of this. But they're not an awful defense. I'm not here to tell you they're a particularly good defense, but they're not an awful defense. And one of the things that I took note of after the first quarter is how well the Cowboys were doing. It was mostly Javonte Williams, but at running the ball and doing a good job inside. They didn't have a whole lot of like swooping to the outside carries. Now, the first series, when the first 2 plays were carries, and you're like, the hell's going on? And then you're like, oh yeah, there's no George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb.
Are you mostly impressed? Because in crosstalk yesterday, Broadus was saying they don't allow you to do that. This Raiders defense is like, hey, you can run to the outside against us, but you're not running inside against us. And then they were doing that. Last night, Kevin, watched Javonte Williams again. I mean, I know you said he wasn't just it, but because Hunter Lipke had some good plays. But Javonte Williams was running the ball 22 times last night for 93 yards. When he got into
good job, Malik Davis, too.
Yes, I'll take that anytime. When he got the ball and started heading downfield, he was doing the I'm going to run through you. I think that's another thing. When I say if you can't respect what the Cowboys did last night, you shouldn't talk ball. Watch Javonte Williams run last night, and he said, I'm going to be physical. I am a running back. I'm a bowling ball. I'm coming at you. And, you can try to stop me, but you're not going to. And that's the quality of, I think, every person that's ever played in the league can look at that and go, man, that was a damn fine effort right there from that running back. So I like the physicality of their running game and their defense last night.
And you're right. I decided to pay special attention to that in the first quarter. Cowboys 7 for Javonte Williams. They had 8 carries for 44 yards. That's 5.5 yards per carry. And they did a really good job inside after the first 2 carries. Those first 2 carries without your 2 primary wide receivers on the field only went for a total of 6 yards. So the rest of the quarter, you ran the ball 6 times for 38 yards. That's more than 6 yards per carry. And that has been one of the Raiders' calling cards, is especially interior being able to slow down or maybe just straight up stuff the run. And I thought the Cowboys did a really good job of establishing that early in the game. And yes, you're right. I listened very intently to Brian Broaddus about this, as people should always do. And I made special note of it in the first quarter, and so I was impressed by that.
From Ryan Fowler said that he thinks that Tyler Guyton did a nice job last night. Pitched his first career shutout at left tackle in 35 pass pro snaps. Nice.
Yeah.
Did you already say that, Kevin? That's a nice addition to what this offense is doing out there. So, yeah, man, I appreciate that part of it last night for sure.
I'm with you. And look, we might talk about paying George Pickens a little bit later. Did you? I didn't.
I want right now. Here's what I want to do.
Okay.
For a team that's 4-5-1, has a 7% chance of making the playoffs.
Hell yeah.
According to NFL.com.
That's 1-14.
For a team that's that, I want to focus on paying them what they're earning right now. Okay? Every single player on this team.
All right.
You know, Brandon Aubrey, I think you're a weapon too that I only really want to use in certain situations, but I want to talk about that later.
Okay.
Right now, I want to talk about you earning your keep here. And George Pickens had to earn his keep in a different situation last night because the head coach decided, I think that we need to have a little bit of discipline. Even if it was a light tap, it was one that got the attention, and every once in a while you got to boot people.
Look, and I was perfectly fine with, essentially it sounds like they were D'ing around and being late to some meetings or whatever. But Troy Aikman said something in that first drive that I thought was kind of shocking. He said maybe they were on the sideline for disciplinary reasons, and Troy, essentially, I'm paraphrasing, said watching this team this year, he could see how there could be some issue with effort.
Okay, that goes into a number of different things. Last year, Troy Aikman said that these wide receivers ran bad routes. You remember that? Like he was very adamant that they were running bad routes. This year, at the beginning of the season, George Pickens was getting accused of when it's not coming to him, he's not really trying that hard. And so maybe if he drifted a little more in a certain way, he would have carried coverage with him, which would have opened up a play. There were some things early in the season that were discussed there. I don't know if Troy had gotten a note in production meeting from Brian Schottenheimer that was something they were a little concerned about earlier, or if he was just watching tape and was like, I'm a little concerned about that. But it turns out in a lot of different areas, there's multiple different reasons for this. Can I lay these out real quick,
Sure.
Kevin? All right, John Machota posted he posted the George Pickens explanation.
Oh my God, this is amazing.
Now, Alec, I want you to know, and we'll play this also on the C block later. Jerry Jones said in-house issue had to do with meeting type discipline, had a late problem there. All right, so that was Jerry's explanation this morning on the show. John Machota, after the game last night, George Pickens, when asked why he wasn't on the field for the first series, quote, certain personnel. We kind of thought they were going to come out in certain stuff, but they didn't. They started kind of hunching down on the run, so we started throwing it around a little bit. And then Pickens was told that Schottenheimer said it was because he and CeeDee Lamb missed a couple things. And that's when Pickens said, well, that's just like between me and Shotty, honestly. So he had this great explanation, this whole beautiful, no, man, we wanted to run the ball. And then they said, no, you're not doing that. So we said, screw it, we're getting out there then. And then he was like, hold on. Well, that's between me and Shotty,
You're lying.
Alec, I'm very conflicted on this because on the one hand, don't lie.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, at least it was a very well thought out and constructed lie to try to get across.
He knew he was going to get asked, and he was like, man, I got a great story to tell these people. And they're like, well, your coach said otherwise. And he's like, well, you caught me.
Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah, that's personal.
Not bad, guys.
Yeah, you sit back and I wonder if you're like you have to process that quickly. Much like he chomped out 3 Raiders defenders on scoring a touchdown pass.
What a cut.
You have to process quickly so I am indeed caught. Well, which way
and there's nowhere to hide.
Pivot now.
There's nowhere to hide in that moment either. Like you're sitting there with all the cameras in your face, the microphones are right there. It's not like you can just sit down and go, what do we do? You just got to, all right. And so he said, that's between me and Coach then. I like it.
I think that is a tremendous answer.
Did Coach lose trust with that, though? Did Coach tell you, hey, here's the situation, and I don't care if I'm entitled to the answer. I didn't ask. Anyway, here's the situation. You're going to have to deal with that. And I'm going to tell the media. It didn't sound like he said I'm going to tell the media. No, he just kind of left it at that, and then the media had to ask questions.
Look, and I get it, but wouldn't you argue that like the type of person you want on your team, the type of player you want on the team, is the type of person who sees the punishment and they're like, I understand, it won't happen again.
And then goes out and gets 144 yards on 9 catches and a touchdown. Like, I'll take that. And was given the effort in the blocking game as well.
And you know what? And going back to CeeDee Lamb, and maybe we'll talk about this longer another point, I guess I did not think that the drop was as egregious as everybody else. I thought that pass
in the end zone?
Yeah, I thought that pass was poorly thrown as well. He should catch it for sure. But Troy made it sound like it was number high and he was going to walk into the end zone. I was like, he was going to have to fall to catch that and like roll into the end zone.
It does fall into the quarterback is definitely in the mindset of if it hits your hands, you better catch the ball. And CeeDee Lamb's paid as an exceptional receiver that should catch those balls. But on the way,
and he should have caught it
on the way home. And you know what? This happened last night on the way home. I was listening to Brad and Babe, and it was late in the game, and Kevontae Turpin dropped a pass, and Brad and Babe said he should have caught that. Kevontae Turpin will say he should have caught that. And Dak Prescott will say it should have been a better throw.
Agreed.
And so, like, those two things can be true at the same time. I think what ends up compiling here, Kevin, is when CeeDee Lamb has not been the CeeDee Lamb. He had the drops in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Now you got the punishment. He hasn't been the dominator that he always is. You're starting to question. And people are starting to say, well, George Pickens is better. Not that he's better.
Well, that feels like a question coming up next.
And so when people start having that conversation, then you're like, well, do we even need CeeDee Lamb? You want CeeDee Lamb on your field, dude. You have an AJ Green type receiver on the outside, and then you have a Marvin Harrison, Reggie Wayne combo with CeeDee Lamb. I think you have a really good combination of receivers that you want both of.
I'm going to say it's nothing. It was a fun game. We got to go see them score against Philadelphia. Do that. Score against Philadelphia. Containing them shouldn't be the biggest challenge, but obviously take a step forward with the defense. But it's cool. Now we'll see what you're really made of Sunday against the bird turds from Philadelphia, Brian.
Yeah, it's going to be, can your offensive line, it's, once again, it's, you're going to have some key players. The Raiders didn't have enough of those, but the Eagles do. Their pass rush, their inside defensive tackles. We'll get into all those tomorrow with the breakdown of their offense. But yeah, we knew going into the game. This is a game you have to win. You have to go in. You have to go in there and beat the Raiders. They did beat the Raiders. Now it's but you put yourself in the situation where they're all really must-win games. You just have to, whatever it takes, whatever you have to do. Play great defense, and I was encouraged by watching the defense play, just with the new guys. When I saw, and I mentioned this earlier across, when I saw the inactive list, I said, okay, they're all the guys, the reason for why you're 3-5-1 in a lot of that area.
A lot of bums over there.
Now let's see how this thing is going to look without all those guys playing out there.
We got real players.
Well, yeah, and the cornerbacks I think did a nice job. Mm-hmm. The thing with Brock Bowers is going to be tough. We didn't really know how they were going to cover. What they do is they took every one of their corners and ran them at him one time, and they kind of figured out who's the best one that can cover him. I think this Ravel. I think we got a hybrid tight end killer here.
He's got the size for it. The length, dude.
Yeah, when you watch him play along the line of scrimmage and you play press man, he played left corner, he played right corner. They put him in the slot. his ability to run with.
The movement was good.
The crossing routes, and that's what the Raiders did that whole time. I mean, everything's a crossing route. And when he was playing man, that son of a gun was running, knee brace or not. He was running with guys. So that was encouraging to see him. Carson have a better opportunity, continues to play at a high level there. Having Hooker back, I think, made a difference. The linebacker situation, less Fowler, more other guys involved.
Less Sam Williams.
They're kind
less
of
Kenneth Murray, no Kyer Elam.
Yeah, they're kind of figuring things out here a little bit.
I thought maybe Revel is still unsure about his leg. That would be the only thing I saw last night watching the game, but I haven't watched the tape like you have. I still don't know how you have all this time to watch all this tape. You must be sleeping like 4 hours a night during the season.
I got home me and Wolchuk got done at 1. I got up at 4:30 and started at 5.
My goodness.
You're an animal.
He's an absolute machine.
Well, we got to. I mean, this is what we do. This time of year, and the NFL.
It's what you do.
Well, the NFL schedule doesn't. I mean, they throw you these Thursday night games. They throw you Monday night games, and you just got to. And then the next day, you got to show up and do work. I mean, there's people in our organization that'll work, and others that won't.
Yeah.
We got some of those here.
You sure do.
Yeah.
And you've long detailed how you think I'm lazy.
To?
Oh, I've just there's some people that will get after it, and there's others that will just kind of find other ways.
We got some grinders and we got some non-grinders, and I'm not talking about the app, Eric. I know you perked up over there.
I did get a little excited there for a second. I mean, you're an animal though. You really are. Like if you got your T levels checked here today, I think you'd break their system of measurement.
They'd be like, "How long have you been on testosterone therapy?"
Sleeping Wolverine,
dude. But Cowboys getting the win. What do you think at 877-881-1053? You still look at the rest of this schedule and the Chargers, Chiefs, Lions, Eagles. There's just 4 games in there, and you got to win 2 of them. That seems like too stiff of a challenge for me right now to believe that this Cowboys team could go do that.
4 of the next 5 at home, right?
Yeah.
Is that what you got?
I think you got to win 3 of the 4.
Yeah.
If you really want a serious chance to get in.
Yeah.
So you can only lose 1 more game.
I think you can really. If you really want to get into this thing, maybe you can drop 2. I think you need to try and win all but 1. And look, the Eagles. I think they play the Eagles well. They did it week 1. Dak's 6-1 at home against Philly. It's going to be a great challenge. I'm excited for the Jalen Carter matchup with Tyler Booker and Beebe and Smith inside. We didn't get that week 1, but they ran the football well against the Eagles. Now, this Eagles defense is much better than it was then with the additions that they've made with Jalen Phillips. Their secondary's playing better as well.
Kobe Dean being back off injury, he's playing legit football at linebacker for them.
We'll see what they do at right tackle, too, with no Lane Johnson. That's going to be
big.
That's going to be an issue. That you've got to find guys along that line of scrimmage that you can maybe take advantage of. There were 5 guys across the line of scrimmage last night.
Yeah,
and they did some things that were really cool. 4 different times I saw that 5-man line. They had some different combinations with the way they ran it. And so, that was encouraging.
It seems dangerous. They ran it towards the end of the game, and it was total suffocation on was it the game clinching or the game ending sack?
They just what they did was they figured out let's just single up all these Raider offensive linemen. And they just went to work on it.
And they got something now with Ezeraku and Clowney.
Yes.
Like those two as your starting ends, and you want to play the run, they're both doing it at an extremely high level.
Yeah. I think that Ezeraku was better against the run than he was the pass yesterday.
Really, maybe all year. That's kind of been the case.
The thing about it yesterday's game, too, is, though, as well as Quinnen Williams played, Zach, I think you might have saw this, I think Kenny Clark was just as good.
Yeah.
Kenny Clark was playing on their side of the line of scrimmage. Like, Quinnen Williams can get off the football. Kenny Clark was getting it off and then driving guys back and then getting rid of them and going and making some plays.
Oh, it's the 2nd sack of the year. That's amazing as well. I think one of the things that is my takeaway, though, is we probably got to retire the idea of a top 5 pick. I think this thing is heading for 7-9-1 at worst. Minnesota's bad. Commanders are bad. Giants are bad.
Yeah,
I think that's probably
who knows what Charger team's going to show up too. They go on the road and become a roadkill,
especially at
tackles.
Noon kick.
Yeah, that's a weird team. That
might be the 2nd worst offensive line you play all season with all the injuries.
Yeah,
and Minnesota's not playing great right now. J.J. McCarthy, he's kind of up and down.
We're selling hopium here, but
it's cautious optimism. Could they get absolutely blown out by the Eagles? Would any of us be stunned? No. But I do think that there are reasons to be optimistic after what we saw yesterday, and I don't care, to your point, that it was the Raiders.
I don't either.
There are some things now going with Logan Wilson now at linebacker, with Quinnen Williams now helping everybody else along the defensive line, with Donovan Ezeraku emerging as a legit NFL player now, to where, okay, and Kalen Carson, that looks like the guy we saw coming out of the draft now.
Yeah.
And Revel,
better.
I thought Revel was better than I ever expected him to be yesterday. And I didn't think he was going to pling as much as he did.
I know.
See, not as good as Deron Bland.
Honestly, Overshown was the one that I thought was
The funny thing about Revel is we were talking during the week that they thought he was going to play more special teams, but all of a sudden he had a good week of practice. And then they felt confident that they could play him in the game. He played the first snap of the fourth quarter and then was in at the very end for the last kneel down stuff. Didn't play really at all in the fourth. So all his action was first half action and then some of the third.
So there's two ways of looking at the Pickens and Lamb start to the game. Either, you want to make exceptions because they're star players. I don't know how would Jimmy have done that, or you're trying to create a culture of accountability and you can't send a message to everybody else that the rules don't apply to some of you. That's just weird. That's inconsistent with what Shoddy's doing. I favor the option B here, and I applaud Shoddy for what he did last night. I thought it was a perfect opportunity to do that against the Raiders. Right. I don't know if he'd do it against the Eagles. But yeah, if you say, hey, curfew is important, maybe it's not actually that important for elite athletes like George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb, who might be night owls. They might just be on their normal schedule of the week, like we're going to stay up till 5 or 7 in the morning or whatever it is. I guess it was Choppy this morning saying you got to figure out a different way to punish them so you're not punishing the whole team. But I thought it was the biggest way to send the message, and I'm not going to protect you for the national media and the fans. I'm going to let everybody know. I do think sometimes Shoddy has this appearance or this brand of being all enthusiasm and positivity, but some of the comments he's made have suggested that there's members of the coaching staff that have to check with him and make sure, are you good right now? Because his temper and the edge can really get pretty sharp in the discipline. And we saw that when they were fighting too much in Oxnard, California. You guys want to fight? Let's bleep and line up. Show me how you're fighting now. And that's sort of the Marty Schottenheimer part of his personality. And I do wonder, when did he make that decision? What state was he in when he made that decision? Was it out of frustration, or was it thought through, I'm going to send a message to these guys? But whatever the case, it didn't impact the game, and they had the big hug and smiles there on the sideline. So I'm glad it happened, and it didn't cost them a game. If it had been a very close game, though, maybe I'd feel different.
100%. I mean, it would be one of those things where it's like, what are you doing? But at the same time, I was walking through this in my thought process in real time during the post-game show with Brian, and I liked what Shoddy did. I think that we've kind of craved and thought that maybe there wasn't enough discipline. Maybe there was a little bit too much coddling with this organization, the country club mentality, as we've talked about with this franchise. Look, those are your two best offensive players, and clearly they go 3 and out with them off the field. So I do think there's something to be said where, they can take accountability for themselves, but now you're impacting everybody else of your entire team. All your teammates now are looking at you like, dude, you're costing us an opportunity now to win. We're practicing, we're working our ass off all week long. You guys now go out and do something that you shouldn't be doing, and now this is affecting everybody else. There's something about that when, I can screw up, but when it now impacts all of you, now Brian's in the weeds with me, now I feel worse about it. Right now, I'm going to make sure I don't do that again, because me is one thing. Getting Eric in trouble as well now is a totally different one. So I kind of like the way Shoddy did this.
I think it's the no-brainer of all no-brainers. I think it was 100% the right move in every single way, even if they go out and lose that game. You're not losing the game because you were out for 3 plays. You would have lost the game for a million other reasons. And that game is not as important. It's not like Brian Schottenheimer is coaching for his job right now. He's coaching for something so much bigger than this. He's having to make up for decades of a bad culture. Right? And so this was the perfect opportunity. Your 2 best players, Monday Night Football, and it is a bad team. Right? Yeah. And it's not like, hey, it's a quarter. It wasn't like it was a half, right? You see that all the time. College football, somebody suspended for an entire half, whatever it is. It ended up being 3 plays. We're talking about one drive.
Yeah.
But it still sent the message that it sends is huge. And then the thing that I did love too is it's not like they're all pouty and it's bleep you shoddy. He's developed a sincere love for these guys in a way to where in the middle of the game he's hyped up with them and they're congratulating, they're loving it, smiling. It's like that's what it is about, dude.
Yeah.
I am the leader here, and if you are going to disrespect me, and you are going to disrespect your teammates, there is a price to be paid.
Amen.
This is 100% professional football right now. And so I absolutely loved what he did and the aftermath of it, which was they both played really good games, in particular George Pickens. All right, George Pickens, unbelievable.
Looks like the best player in football.
He's as fun to watch as anybody in the league, but it's also not like, oh, you're punishing me, but I also really don't have the respect for you, so now I'm still going to be pouty and take it out on you, and no, I'm not going to dap you up after plays. No, like that was a perfect encapsulation of everything Shoddy's done to this point to where I can still discipline you. I can discipline my daughter, but she still knows that I love her. And 15 minutes later, we could be playing together.
Yep.
Right? I thought it was beautiful. It was a no-brainer. I love that from Shoddy.
Do you feel like that? Do you feel like that the organization knows kicking Diggs in the junk more than that? Maybe they're kicking him in the junk too much, as compared to what the things like. Your players basically. You just said the thing, disrespecting the coach. I mean, disrespect is going on a road trip like this and having a game, and then not bothering to show up for the things that he's asking you to do.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That is disrespectful.
That's fair. I know, but I'm saying it's very disrespectful. But I feel like that Diggs is taking more of the blunt of the punishment, or the more of the everybody being mad at him. And here these guys were all kind of yucking it up and laughing on the sidelines. Are they being fair to Diggs? I guess is what I'm asking.
Yeah, because Diggs, first of all, Diggs has a multitude of things, right? It's not just a one isolated deal, and then it's not like, hey, you were benched, and then you come back in and you're making plays left and right, and now we have something to celebrate. What have you given me, Diggs, to celebrate with you?
So you're saying because of his level of poor play that he should be treated differently?
I don't think it's being treated differently. It's being presented with what you presented me. George Pickens, I bench you, whatever it is, and then you come in and you have an unbelievable game.
Yeah.
And now we're addressing that fact. I'm not just going to, not celebrate with you because of that. Diggs, I would imagine if Diggs, whatever game was he didn't start, if he goes out there and then has huge plays, Shoddy would be celebrating with him. I don't think he would be like, no, like Diggs is on my bleep list.
I think this is the Joneses versus Diggs. What we had last night was Shoddy managing something with his players, and I think Diggs would get the same thing from Shoddy if he would, go out there and perform well. I think that's one of the great things about Shoddy is he's going to be a disciplinarian, but he's not doing it because he doesn't like you or because he's mean. He just wants you to get with the program, and as soon as you do that, it's nothing.
If you're a player and you see the way they treat Diggs, do you feel different?
Diggs is at home on a Thursday night finding a way to concuss himself and miss time. That is, and on top of that, he was the guy that for an entire injury half-assed the rehab.
I'm just asking the question because basically your two best offensive players went out and basically said, F it, Shoddy, we're cool, we're good, we're not worried about what you want to do for this game. They're literally on the road. Diggs is in his own home. He's whatever he did to himself, but it's not like he's going on the road and just basically flipping Shoddy the bird, these two guys, and we're going to go do what we want to do.
Yeah, but I think it's also a build-up to what Eric's point is of previous actions with Diggs. And I think he's also been the one that has been more outspoken about not wanting to buy into what Matt Eberflus wants to do. And in turn,
he's been outspoken about the defense has sucked.
Right. But he's also been outspoken, I think, about some of the schematic stuff that he doesn't like, which, to his point, might be totally fair. But then it also might also plant the seed to other players that are younger than him that, well, if he feels that way, maybe I should feel that way. Yeah. And so now you've got a bad egg that's kind of giving a negative, not buy-into attitude to the rest of the entire defense, right? That can seep into everybody else in that locker room.
Do you feel like the wide receivers didn't buy into curfew?
Absolutely. Yeah. They're like, we're out in Vegas, we're going to go have some fun. Yeah. They're probably swiping on Tinder and something too good to be true matched with them. Sure. They're like, well, I guess curfew's not going to, be an option for us. Yeah. So